Hello everybody, I am the Alpha Flamingo and today I'm going to talk somewhat in depth about a game that I hold very dear to me, Jet Set Radio. Jet Set Radio came out in June of 2000 in Japan and has since become one of the most loved games to ever come out of the Dreamcast library. It was one of the pioneers of cel-shaded graphics and helped boost the extreme sports genre as a whole. Personally, I think this game stands among the best with games such as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and the original SSX. So with that, let's jump right into it.
Jet Set Radio!
Jet Set Radio, or as the Americans call it, Jet Grind Radio, was developed by a small team of 25 named Smilebit in the summer of 1999, and it had its funding from the big old giant that is Sega. The game would later be announced at the Tokyo Game Show that same year, where people were taken back by its distinct, colourful graphics and interesting gameplay. Though, I'll be honest, I'm quite surprised that the game would have been that far along only after a few months. The game was also shown off and hyped up at E3 2000, where we had this strange show of people dancing on roller skates and doing this big performance. I don't know, there's just something really weird about watching these old game conventions now. Like, if you imagine the 2019 Xbox showcase and then all of a sudden a bunch of people show up dressed as Master Chief and they come out on stage and they start tearing it up. Like, we don't have that anymore. We just have Just Dance. And that type of stuff is understandable because, I mean, it's a dance game. As previously mentioned, the game would then go on to release in Japan in that summer of 2000 with some rather strange advertising, to say the least. I mean, look at it. What the fuck? For us Westerners though, we'd have to wait until October of 2000s to get our grubby little mitts on the game, and it was worse for people like myself who lived in the UK and Europe because we couldn't get a taste until mid-November of 2000. I mean, the Dreamcast was basically on its last legs at that point, and it got discontinued 4 months later. But hey, at least it burnt out quickly, and when it did, my god, there is some great games on that system. This game followed suit with a lot of other brilliant Dreamcast titles in that it was brilliant. Critics absolutely loved it, giving it multiple 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s at the time. My actual copy of Jet Set used to have this awful fucking IGN 9.6 out of 10 sticker on it that I removed because of how obnoxious it looked. So we're like 4 minutes into the video now and I'm yet to actually talk about the gameplay or anything about the game at all, you know, the good stuff. So here we go. The game is brilliant, but it's also old. Like, it's fun, don't get me wrong, it is really fun, but it's just to play. Okay, so before you do have a go at me about this, hear me out. The actual ability to wall ride, grind, jump through the air, all that jazz, it feels great and it will never not feel great. When you hit that awesome combo that you've been trying on and off for the last few minutes and then you finally nail it, you feel like you've mastered the mechanics and the world will bow before you because of it. However, actually trying to start those combos can be an absolute chore, as you have to set yourself up and try not overshoot the first jump or plummet to your death like I did here. I think the word I would use would be floaty. It's not the tightest, it could be better when it comes to actual movement. Don't get me wrong, it's fine, but it's just probably with the technology that they had, it is quite way floaty, you know? But the actual level design and mapping of this is all really good, and each section gives you ample room to explore, and through that exploration you can find new areas, different passageways which you can use to shave off seconds of your time, and you can use the environments as well in order to collect these little icons around the map that unlock songs or documentaries or other goodies. Much like the Tony Hawk games as well, the developers built the levels so that they all flow together really nicely, with rails and ledges always being a fair distance apart from one another so that the player can easily hop from one to another if they feel they have the speed. Though it will take a bit of practice, of course, you won't get this instantly. There are a few areas in the game too where you can break through doors, walls, bits of furniture and stuff in order to find secrets and health boosts, which are always a nice touch and adds to that extra bit of exploration and reward. I especially like the rails in the city where you can hop between them, and even though they're not hard jumps, it really made you feel special as you're just darting all over this city, and that's always positive in my books. If you haven't gathered from background gameplay what this game is about by now, you're basically spraying up parts of this giant fictional Tokyo called Tokyo Toe with your gang of reckless youths that you collect as you play the game. These characters show up outside your house and creepily stare through your window while showing their fresh moves off in an attempt to intimidate you into leaving, and then they trick battle you once you leave. And yo-yo, I will never forget the awfulness that your mission caused me. Spending close to an hour trying to pixel perfect a fucking run against you, you ginger twat. When it comes down to the meat and potatoes of this game, it does basically just come down to go here, press left trigger, go here, press left trigger and waggle the stick around a bit like an idiot. And then to be honest with you, I do really like this system, and that may sound repetitive, but it sort of gives you this sense of worry as you're doing it, because you are defenseless. You can't escape at all while you're doing this unless you break your combo, and that sort of, it gives you a sense of panic that I quite enjoy. And so what I mean by that, there's 3 types of wall that you can spray paint: a single quick tag, a larger 3-stick wiggle tag, and then this big behemoth 8-spray wiggle tag. And that one's just an absolute nightmare, because trying to fight off multiple enemies while you have to spray that wall is not a fun time. I mean, I might just be missing something, but I don't know how to dodge anything while in this phase. It just seems to come down to luck. My best guess, though, is that you back out the moment you see that exclamation mark appear, and then you try and dash and dodge away, or you take the shot and then use the invincibility frames to then finish off the graffiti. And it's bloody annoying, so just keep tabs on your local health cans as well if you're struggling like I was. And I do just want to briefly touch up on the controls as well, because reset camera is left trigger and spray is also left trigger, so you can have these issues where you can go past something and you're not quite sure if you're going to get it, so you just spam left trigger a bunch of times and it keeps resetting your camera, and then it sort of really becomes disorientating. It's fine, you can get through the game like it, but just be aware of that. So as I touched on briefly, the story of the game revolves around a couple gangs fighting over territory with graffiti. These gangs are the Love Shockers, the GGs, which is your gang, the Noise Tanks, and Poison Jam. The ultimate goal, though, is to take down this evil Golden Rhino company who are taking over everybody's turf, and they're putting up their Golden Rhino posters in search of a record that summons this demon. Yeah, it's quite out there. The last level, though, has you fighting this massive skyscraper with a record on top that spins. And there's this giant golden rhino, and you have to spray this man's head with the tag. And while all of this is going on, DJ Professor K of the local pirate radio station is throwing, some awesome tunes at you and giving updates and input on what's happening in the city. He's basically the man that tells you the story. He's the narrator of sorts of the game. And my god, the amount of charm coming out of this man makes me so happy. Here's like a few snippets from his stuff. It's so good.
Get scratching. This is Tokyo's guerrilla music broadcaster, Jet Set Radio! Let's go to the mailbag. A letter from Mr. Osaki asks, how do I get rid of these nasty roaches? Easy, just burn your house down!
So, yeah, the story is told through him or through these comic book sections that pop up. And they're like little comic panels that you can read through, and then that's also how they tell the story. But predominantly it is done through Professor K. This ties in really nicely with the music that he actually plays on the station. It's amazing, like actually incredible. I have this thing on my Spotify playlist as we speak, and I've been listening to it while I write the script. The music just has so much going on, and it just oozes character. It doesn't really sound like a traditional video game soundtrack, and I love it for that, with all of its remixes and samples all moulding together to form music that is actually fit for human ears. It's composed by the awesome, and I'm sorry if I get his name wrong, Hideki Naguma, who went through all of this and ended up working on Lethal League as well. So if you like the music from Lethal League, then you'll probably like this. And it also led me on to music such as Fatboy Slim, who is quite similar in sound. Lastly, I want to touch on the graphics of the game. I don't think I need to say this, but in my subjective opinion, this still holds up. There's a few textures here and there that look dated, yes, but it's almost got that timeless art style to it. If we compare it to something like Borderlands 1, which today looks muddy, gritty, and just sort of it really doesn't hold up when we compare it to something like Wind Waker or Jet Set, which, yes, Wind Waker did get a HD remaster, but the original Wind Waker on GameCube still looks amazing. There's something about a well-done, cel-shaded game that I don't think will ever make it lose its wow factor. I mean, not current-day wow factor, with something modern, but it has that sort of wow factor for something released in the 2000s that I think still holds up to this day. Character models truly do look amazing, and the world feels alive. You can see sort of the actual people on the street and stuff, they look a little bit blocky and wobbly, but it holds up so well. Helicopters look great, the police chasing you look great. It's just so vibrant and detailed and colourful, and I absolutely adore it. So with that being said, what do I think of the game in the current year of 2020? Is it still worth paying the $20 for the original copy? Yes. However, only if you really want to play the original version, as the Steam version looks better, it kind of plays better, it runs better, and it costs half the price. Now, you don't get that charm of putting it in the Dreamcast or using the Dreamcast controller, but not everyone really cares about that. So moral of the story here is, should you buy it now? Yes, it's really great. I loved every second of it, even when it was frustrating and infuriating. And it went on sale last month on Steam, and I did genuinely try to buy it for a lot of people on my friends list, and you should do the same. So everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Oh, and I mean, come on, really, look at this thing. It makes my hands go in on themselves, and it hurts like hell after an hour. But I fucking love it.